I woke up to white ceiling tiles and the smell of disinfectant. The kind of sharp, chemical clean that tells you you've been somewhere a long time. My mouth tasted like cotton and metal. My right arm felt like it belonged to someone else. The room was empty. Not hospital empty, not everyone stepped out for coffee empty. Empty like someone had already decided I was done. I turned my head. The movement took effort. There was a chair by the window, but no jacket draped over it. No purse, no phone charging on the table. The whiteboard on the wall had my name and today's date, but the section marked Family Contact was blank. I tried to sit up. My body argued. We negotiated for about 30 seconds before I got my back against the raised bed. The IV in my left hand pulled when I moved. I looked at it like it might explain things. It didn't. The door opened. A nurse came in, mid-40s, tired eyes, the kind of professional smile that says she's seen worse than whatever I am. "You're awake," she said. "How are you feeling?" "Where is everyone?" She checked the IV bag, wrote something on a clipboard. "You'll need to speak with the discharge coordinator." "Discharge?" "Your funding arrangement changed 3 days ago." She said it the way someone tells you the cafeteria is out of pie. Factual. Not her problem. "They'll explain everything." She left before I could ask who they were. I sat there, listened to the machine next to me beep, counted the tiles on the ceiling, 32 across, 18 down. I'd probably counted them before. I didn't remember. I didn't remember a lot. The door opened again. A woman this time, younger, business casual, iPad in hand like a shield. "Mr. Brennan," she said. "I'm Lisa from Patient Services. I understand you're oriented now." "Oriented to what?" "Your situation." She tapped the screen. "Your care was privately funded through a family account. That account was closed on Monday. We've kept you comfortable. But as of this morning, we need to begin transition planning." I stared at her. "My family closed the account." "Yes." "While I was in a coma." "While you were in recovery, yes." She scrolled. "The account holder has the right to allocate resources as they see fit." "Who's the account holder?" "Your son, Trevor Brennan." The name landed like a fist. I knew it. I knew him. 32 years old. Corporate attorney. Married to a woman whose name I couldn't quite pull up. I could see his face, though. Sharp. Clean. The kind of face that looked good in a conference room. "He closed it," I said. "He restructured his obligations," Lisa said. She was good. Kept her voice neutral, like she was discussing a billing error. "We can help you apply for state assistance, but that process takes time. In the interim, we've arranged a temporary placement." "Placement?" "A transitional facility. It's clean, safe, and they'll help you with the application process." I looked at her. She looked back, waiting. "Where's my wife?" "I don't have that information." "My phone." "Your personal effects are in the drawer," she pointed. "I'll give you some time to process. Someone will be by in an hour to go over the next steps." She left. I opened the drawer. My phone was there. The charger was too. I plugged it in and waited. The screen lit up. 47 missed calls. 63 texts. I scrolled through them. Most were from weeks ago, friends, colleagues, people who didn't know what happened or why I stopped answering. 3 were from Trevor. The first one was from 6 weeks ago. "Dad, we need to talk about your care plan. Call me." The second one was from 4 weeks ago. "We're making some financial adjustments. This is what's best for everyone." The third one was from 3 days ago. "You'll be fine. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I read that one twice. Then I saw the email, forwarded to me yesterday. The subject line was blank. The sender was Trevor's work address. I opened it. It was a PDF, a letter, addressed to the hospital's billing department. "Per our previous communication, the Brennan family account will be closed effective immediately. All outstanding balances are the responsibility of the patient. We appreciate your understanding during this transition." It was signed by Trevor. It was CC'd to someone named Vanessa Brennan, his wife. I remembered now. Vanessa. I'd met her twice. Maybe 3 times. Polite. Distant. The kind of woman who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. I scrolled further. There was another attachment. A financial summary. It showed payments made over the past 8 months. Physical therapy, medications, room fees. The total was high. Not bankruptcy high. Not sell the house high. But high enough that someone might look at it and think, this is a bad investment. I put the phone down, counted the ceiling tiles again. 32 by 18, 576 tiles. I wondered how many days I'd been here. I wondered if Trevor had visited. I wondered if he stood in this room and looked at me the way people look at old furniture they're planning to donate. The door opened. A man in a suit walked in, the late 50s, glasses, briefcase. He didn't look like hospital staff. "Mr. Brennan," he said, "I'm Alan Russo. I represent you. I don't have a lawyer. You do now." He set the briefcase on the chair, opened it, pulled out a folder. "Your wife hired me 4 days ago." "My wife? Helen?" He handed me the folder. "She's been following the situation closely. She asked me to make sure you understood your options." I opened the folder. Inside was a single piece of paper, a bank statement. My name was on it. Joint account. The balance was $73. "Where's the rest?" "Your son had signing authority," Russo said. "He transferred the funds to a trust 3 weeks ago. The trust is managed by him and his sister." "My daughter?" "Renee Brennan Foster. She signed off on the arrangement." I looked at the paper. $73. They cleaned me out. "They repositioned assets," Russo said. He sat down. "Legally, they had the authority. You gave Trevor power of attorney 6 years ago when you had the first health scare. He never relinquished it. I didn't die." "No, but you were incapacitated. That was enough." I set the folder on the bed. "What are my options?" Russo leaned back. "Legally, limited. They followed procedure. Financially, you're starting over. Practically?" He looked at me. "That depends on what you want." "I want them to pay." "Pay how?" I didn't answer right away. I looked at the folder, the statement, the $73. I thought about Trevor, about Renee, about Helen, wherever she was. "Where's my wife?" "A motel off Route 9. She left the house 3 weeks ago. Took what she could carry. Your son changed the locks." "He changed the locks on his mother." "He changed the locks on a property he now controls," Russo said. "Technically, she was a guest." I laughed. It hurt. My ribs weren't ready for it. Russo watched me. "Your wife wants you to know she's not helpless. She's just waiting." "For what?" "For you to decide who you are when you wake up." He stood, left a business card on the table. "Call me when you're ready, or don't. Either way, I'll be around." He left. I sat there, looked at the card. Alan Russo, attorney at law, a local number, no fancy logo, no corporate branding. I picked up my phone again, scrolled to Trevor's last message. "You'll be fine. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I deleted it. Then I opened a new message, typed his name, stared at the blank space. I didn't send anything. I just sat there, breathing, thinking, counting. 32 by 18, 576 tiles. I wondered how many it would take to bury someone. Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. The transitional facility was a repurposed motel on the edge of town. 12 units, peeling paint, a parking lot that needed repaving. The sign out front said Harbor House, but there was no harbor within 20 miles. They put me in Unit 7, single bed, kitchenette, bathroom with a shower that dripped. The walls were thin enough that I could hear the guy next door coughing at 2 a.m. I didn't sleep much anyway. Helen showed up the second day. I heard the knock and knew it was her before I opened the door. She had a way of knocking, 3 times, even rhythm. She stood there with a duffel bag and a grocery sack. Her hair was shorter than I remembered, grayer. She looked tired. "You look like hell," she said. "You should see the other guy." She came in, set the bags on the counter, started unpacking bread, peanut butter, instant coffee, the cheap kind. "How'd you find me?" I asked. "I called the hospital. They gave me the address." She didn't look at me, kept putting things away. "Russo said you read the folder." "Yeah? And?" She finally looked at me. "You're starting over with a brain that still works, and a son who thinks he won." I sat down on the bed. "He did win." "He took your money. That's not the same thing." "Feels the same." She finished unpacking, folded the bags, sat in the chair by the window. We looked at each other for a while. "You're not surprised," I said. "No." "You saw this coming." "I saw pieces of it." She crossed her arms. "Trevor's been cold for a long time. Renee follows his lead. I just didn't think they'd move this fast." "Why didn't you stop them?" "I tried. I called. I went to the house. Trevor had the locks changed before I could get my things. Vanessa told me I was being dramatic." "Vanessa?" "She's worse than he is," Helen said. "At least Trevor pretends to have reasons. She just likes the power." I rubbed my face. My hands still felt weak. "What's the play?" That's up to you. Russo said you've been waiting. I have? For what? She leaned forward. For you to stop feeling sorry for yourself and start thinking. I looked at her. She didn't blink. They made a mistake, she said. They moved fast. That means they didn't cover everything. People who rush leave gaps. What kind of gaps? The kind you find when you're paying attention. She stood, walked to the window. Trevor thinks you're broken. He thinks you'll apply for assistance, fade into some state program, and disappear. He's wrong. How do you know? Because I know you. She turned. You don't disappear. You dig in. I didn't say anything. She came back to the bed, sat next to me. I've been making lists. People Trevor works with. Accounts he controls. Places where his name shows up. I can't do much with it alone, but if you're willing to work, we can make something happen. Something like what? Something that hurts. I looked at her, really looked. The gray hair, the tired eyes, the way she held herself like she was ready for a fight. You're serious, I said. Completely. They're our kids. They stopped being our kids when they decided we were expenses. She stood. I'm not asking you to love this. I'm asking you if you're willing to stop pretending they're still the people we raised. I thought about Trevor's message. The PDF. The $73. Yeah, I said. I'm willing. She nodded. Good. Then we start small. Helen left an hour later. I watched her car pull out of the parking lot. An old sedan, dented bumper. It didn't fit her. She used to drive a Lexus. I wondered what else had changed while I was unconscious. I spent the rest of the day walking. The facility had a small courtyard, concrete benches, a rusted swing set that nobody used. I walked laps. 10 at first, then 20. My legs burned. My lungs felt tight. I kept walking. By the time the sun went down, I'd done 50 laps. I went back to the room, sat on the bed, opened my phone. I searched Trevor's name, found his LinkedIn, senior associate at Whitman and Dale, corporate law, mergers and acquisitions. His profile picture showed him in a suit, standing in front of a glass building. Confident smile, the kind of smile that said he'd never doubted himself. I clicked on his connections. 312 people. I scrolled through them. Colleagues, clients, college friends. I didn't recognize most of them. Then I saw a name I did recognize. Paul Hendricks. I stared at it. Paul Hendricks had been my client 15 years ago. I'd helped him restructure a failing business, saved him from bankruptcy. He sent Christmas cards for a decade after that. Now he was connected to Trevor. I clicked on Paul's profile. He worked at Hendricks & Lowe, financial consulting. His bio said he specialized in estate planning and asset protection. I closed the phone, opened it again, typed a message to Alan Russo. I need to see all the documents Trevor filed when he took power of attorney, everything. Russo responded in 10 minutes. I'll have them by tomorrow. Meet me at the diner on Maple at noon. I set the phone down, stared at the ceiling, counted tiles. This room had fewer, 18 by 10, 180. It felt appropriate. Russo was already at the diner when I got there. Corner booth, coffee in front of him. He pushed a manila envelope across the table when I sat down. Everything Trevor filed is in there, he said. Power of attorney, trust documents, account transfers. It's all legal. I opened the envelope, pulled out the stack of papers, started reading. The power of attorney was 6 years old. I remembered signing it. I'd had a heart scare. Doctor said I needed to get my affairs in order. Trevor had been insistent, said it was just a precaution. I'd trusted him. The trust documents were newer, filed 3 weeks ago, right after I went into recovery. Trevor and Renee were listed as co-trustees. Helen's name was nowhere on it. They erased her, I said. They restructured around her, Russo said. Legally, it's clean. Morally, it's garbage. I kept reading. The account transfers were meticulous. Every dollar accounted for. Every asset moved into the trust. The house, the savings, the investment accounts. $73 left in the joint account. They planned this, I said. They executed this, Russo corrected. Planning takes time. This was fast. That means they saw an opportunity and took it. The opportunity being my coma. Yes. I set the papers down. Can we break the trust? Not easily. You'd need to prove incompetence or fraud. Incompetence won't work because Trevor followed procedure. Fraud is tricky. You'd need evidence that he misrepresented something or acted against your interests. He took everything I had. He took everything you gave him access to, Russo said. That's not fraud. That's authority. I drank my coffee. It was cold. Russo leaned back. You're thinking like a victim. Stop it. Excuse me? You're sitting here looking at papers that prove your son is smarter than you gave him credit for. That's useful. Now use it. I looked at him. You're enjoying this. I'm watching someone wake up, he said. Most people in your position roll over. They accept it. They disappear into the system. You're not doing that. So yeah, I'm enjoying it a little. You're a strange lawyer. I'm a cheap lawyer, he said, which is why your wife hired me. Now stop whining and start thinking. What do you know about Trevor that he doesn't want anyone else to know? I thought about it. Went back through 15 years of memories. Birthday dinners, graduations, arguments. Then I remembered something. He worked with Paul Hendricks, I said. Paul used to be my client. Now he's connected to Trevor. Russo pulled out a notepad, wrote the name down. What does Paul do? Estate planning, asset protection. Interesting. Russo tapped the pen. Trevor's a corporate attorney. Why would he need someone who specializes in estate planning? Maybe he was planning this further back than we thought. Or maybe Paul taught him how to do it clean. Russo looked up. I'll pull Paul's recent filings, see what he's been working on. If Trevor used his methods, there might be overlap. And if there is, then we know who else to talk to. I nodded. Russo closed the notepad. This isn't fast. You understand that, right? You're not going to walk into a courtroom next week and get everything back. That's not how this works. I know. Good. Because if you're looking for justice, you're in the wrong place. If you're looking for leverage, we can work with that. Leverage. Something that makes Trevor uncomfortable. Something that changes the math in his head. Russo finished his coffee. Your wife said you're good at finding pressure points. Time to prove it. He left cash on the table and stood up. I stayed, looked at the papers again, read Trevor's signature at the bottom of the trust documents, clean, confident, he thought he'd won. That was his first mistake. Russo called 3 days later. I met him at a coffee shop near the courthouse. He had a folder with him. Thicker than the last one. He slid it across the table. Paul Hendricks has 42 active clients, he said. I pulled the names of the ones who filed trusts in the last 5 years. 18 of them used the same structure Trevor used. I opened the folder, scanned the list. 18 families, I said. 18 families who wanted to move money quietly, Russo said. Most of them are what you'd expect. Wealthy parents, adult children, estate planning. Most of them? He tapped the page. 3 of them are different. The trusts were filed during or immediately after a medical crisis. 1 stroke, 1 car accident, and 1 extended hospital stay. I looked at the names. They're like me. They're exactly like you, Russo said, and all 3 of them lost their access to assets while they were incapacitated. Did any of them fight back? One did. Guy named Bernard Kowalski. He sued his daughter 2 years ago, claimed she manipulated him into signing over authority, lost in court because she had documentation showing he'd been mentally unstable. Was he? No, but she had a doctor's testimony. Paid for, probably, but it stood up. I closed the folder. So fighting in court doesn't work? Not if they have time to prepare, Russo said. Bernard's mistake was telegraphing his move. He told his daughter he was going to sue, gave her 6 months to build a defense. By the time they got to trial, he looked incompetent. What happened to him? He's in a state facility now. Medicaid. His daughter sold his house to pay for care. Russo leaned back. She kept the profit. I stared at the folder. These people are professionals. They're opportunists, Russo said. But yeah, they know what they're doing. Trevor learned from the best. Can we connect them? Connect them how? Paul's clients, Trevor, Vanessa, anyone else in their circle. I tapped the folder. If we can show they're part of a network, we can make it look coordinated. It is coordinated. Then let's prove it. Russo wrote something down. I'll see what I can find. But you need to understand something. Even if we connect them, it doesn't change the law. What they did is legal. Legal doesn't mean safe, I said. If we make enough noise, someone will pay attention. Who? Anyone with a reputation to protect? Russo looked at me for a long moment. You're not trying to win in court. You're trying to burn them publicly. I'm trying to make them hurt the way I hurt. He nodded slowly. All right, I'll dig. But you need to keep moving on your end. The longer you stay still, the more time they have to lock things down. I'm not staying still. Good, because Trevor's not stupid. He knows you're alive. He knows you're awake. He's waiting to see if you're going to fade or fight. What do you think he expects? I think he expects you to disappear, Russo said. I think he's counting on it. He left. I sat there with the folder, opened it again, looked at the list of names. 18 families. 18 people who trusted someone and lost everything. I wondered how many of them were still fighting. I wondered how many had given up. Helen found the car. She called me that night. I could hear traffic in the background. The guy Trevor met with, she said. I found his car again. It's parked outside a restaurant on Lexington, same plates. You're following it? I'm sitting across the street, she said. He's inside, alone, reading a menu. Stay there. I'm coming. I took the bus. Got there in 20 minutes. Helen was parked half a block down. I slid into the passenger seat. That's him, she said. She pointed at the window. I looked. The guy was in his 60s. Gray hair, expensive suit. He had the kind of face that looked like it spent a lot of time in boardrooms. You recognize him? Helen asked. No. I ran the plates. Cars registered to a company called Pinnacle Advisory Group. What do they do? Wealth management, estate planning, high net worth clients. I watched the guy eat, slow, methodical, like he had all the time in the world. He's connected to Paul, I said. Probably. And Trevor's connected to both of them. That's my guess. I pulled out my phone, searched Pinnacle Advisory Group. The website was clean, professional. It listed services like generational wealth strategies and legacy protection. I clicked on the team page, found him. His name was Richard Dalton, managing partner. 30 years of experience, specializing in complex family dynamics. Complex family dynamics, I said. That's a nice way to say helping kids steal from their parents. Helen leaned over, looked at the photo. He looks like he's never apologized for anything in his life. Probably hasn't. We watched him finish his meal. He paid in cash, left a precise tip, walked out to his car. You want to follow him? Helen asked. Not yet. I want to know who else he's working with. How do we find that out? We ask Russo to pull Pinnacle's client list. And if he can't? Then we get creative. Helen started the car. You're starting to sound like someone who knows what they're doing. I'm starting to sound like someone with nothing to lose. She pulled into traffic. That's the same thing. I called Russo the next morning, told him about Richard Dalton. Pinnacle Advisory, he said. Yeah, I know them. They're expensive. Discreet. Can you get their client list? Not legally. They're a private firm. No public disclosures. What about Paul's connection to them? I can look. If Paul and Richard have worked together, there might be filings that mention both names. Do it. He hung up. I went back to the library. Spent 4 hours searching for any overlap between Paul Hendricks and Richard Dalton. Found one. A legal notice from 3 years ago. A trust dispute and probate court. Paul was listed as the estate planner. Richard was listed as the financial advisor. The case was settled out of court. I wrote down the names. Searched for the family involved. Found an obituary. The father had died 2 years ago. The trust had been divided among 3 children. No disputes listed. I closed the browser. Sat back. The pattern was there. Paul helped families set up trusts. Richard helped them manage the money. Together, they made sure everything looked clean. Trevor had learned from both of them. I pulled out my phone, sent Helen a message. Found the connection. Oh, Paul and Richard work together. Trevor's using their playbook. She responded in seconds. Good. Now we find out who else is. I left the library. Walked 10 blocks to clear my head. Stopped at a corner store. Bought a coffee and a sandwich. Sat on a bench outside and ate. Across the street, a father was walking with his daughter. She looked about 8. He was holding her hand. They were laughing about something. I watched them until they turned the corner. Then I finished my coffee, threw the cup away, and went back to work. Trevor made a mistake on a Thursday. Helen saw it first. She'd been watching his office for 2 weeks. Same routine every day. Arrive at 8, leave at 6, lunch at Marino's on Tuesdays. But on Thursday, he left early, 3 in the afternoon. Helen followed him. She called me from the car. He's going somewhere he doesn't usually go, she said. Where? North, out of the city. I'm staying back. Keep me updated. She hung up. I sat in the apartment, stared at the phone, waited. 20 minutes later, she called back. He's at a house, she said. Residential area, nice neighborhood. He parked in the driveway. Whose house? I don't know, but Vanessa's car is here too. They're meeting someone. Looks like it. I heard her shift in the seat. Front door just opened. Older woman. She's hugging Vanessa. You getting photos? Already got them. Good. Stay as long as you can. She stayed for an hour. Sent me updates every 10 minutes. Trevor and Vanessa went inside. Stayed for 40 minutes. Came out carrying boxes. Boxes? I said when she called again. Small ones. Maybe files, maybe personal items. Hard to tell. You get the address? Yeah. 428 Linden Court. I wrote it down. I'll run it. Let me know if anything else happens. She hung up. I searched the address. The house was owned by a woman named Margaret Hale, age 71, widowed. I searched her name. Her husband, Robert Hale, had passed away after a long illness. I searched Robert's name, found his obituary. It mentioned 2 children, a son and a daughter. I clicked on the son's name, Andrew Hale, no social media, no LinkedIn, but I found a mention in a charity event from 2 years ago. He'd donated to a local hospital. I searched the daughter's name. Nothing. I called Russo. Margaret Hale, I said. You ever hear that name? No. Why? Trevor and Vanessa just visited her. They left with boxes. Russo was quiet for a moment. You think she's a client? I think she's someone Paul or Richard worked with. I'll check. He called back in an hour. Margaret Hale isn't on Paul's client list, he said. But Robert Hale is. The husband. Yeah. He filed a trust 2 years ago. Paul was the planner. Who's the trustee? Andrew Hale, the son. I sat down. Trevor knows Andrew. Probably, if they're both using the same network. Can you find out if they've worked together? I can try, but it's going to take time. We don't have time. Then what do you want to do? I thought about it. I want to talk to Margaret. Bad idea. Why? Because if she's part of this, she'll tell Andrew, and Andrew will tell Trevor, and then Trevor knows you're active. He already knows I'm active. He knows you're awake. He doesn't know you're hunting. I hung up, thought about it. Russo was right. Talking to Margaret was risky. But watching from a distance wasn't getting me anywhere. I called Helen. You still near the house? No, I left an hour ago. Why? I want to go back. When? Tonight. She paused. What are you planning? I'm planning to see what Trevor took out of that house. That's breaking and entering. That's recovering information. You're going to get caught. Not if we're smart about it. She sighed. I'll pick you up at 9. We parked 3 blocks away, walked to the house. It was dark except for a single light in the front window. She's awake, Helen said. So we wait. We sat on a bench at the corner. Watched the house? The light went off at 10:30. We waited another hour. Then we moved. Helen stayed at the corner. I walked up the driveway, checked the side gate, unlocked. I went into the backyard. The back door had a simple lock. I pulled out the toolkit Helen had bought me. Small tension wrench, rake pick. It took 3 minutes. The door opened. I went inside. The house was quiet, clean. The kind of place where someone had lived for decades and never moved anything. I used my phone's flashlight. Kept it low. The kitchen was empty. The living room had boxes stacked against the wall. I opened one. Papers, old tax returns, medical records. I opened another. Photos, family pictures, kids at graduations, weddings, birthdays. I kept looking, found a filing cabinet in the den, locked. I used the picks again. Inside were folders, legal documents, estate planning, the trust agreement. I took photos of everything. Then I heard something, footsteps upstairs. I froze. A door opened. A light came on in the hallway above me. I moved fast. Out of the den, through the kitchen, out the back door. Closed it quietly. Ran across the yard. Over the fence. Helen was waiting at the corner. You good? She asked. I'm good. We walked back to the car. Didn't run. Just walked. Got in. Drove away. Helen didn't ask questions until we were 10 blocks clear. You get what you needed? Yeah. What was it? I showed her the photos on my phone. She scrolled through them, stopped on one. This is the trust agreement. Yeah. Paul's name is on it. And Richard's? She kept scrolling. Andrew Hale is the trustee, just like Trevor. And Margaret has no access. Helen handed the phone back. They did it again. Yeah. So what now? Now we find out how many times they've done it. Russo met us the next morning. Looked at the photos. You broke into her house, he said. I recovered evidence. You committed a crime. So did they. He set the phone down. This doesn't prove anything illegal. It's just another trust. Another family. It proves a pattern. Patterns aren't crimes. They are if we make them loud enough. Russo looked at me. You're talking about going public. I'm talking about making sure everyone knows what Trevor and his friends are doing. That's risky. If you go public and you're wrong, you're done. Defamation, libel, they'll bury you. I'm not wrong. You're not a lawyer. You don't know that. I leaned forward. I know they're hurting people. I know they're doing it systematically. I know they think they're untouchable. That's enough. Russo was quiet for a long time. Then he nodded. All right. I'll draft something. A statement. Factual. No accusations. Just questions. Questions about what? About why so many families end up losing access to their own money after working with the same planners. And we send it to who? Local media, legal blogs, anyone who covers elder abuse or estate disputes. I nodded. Do it, he stood. This is going to get ugly. It's already ugly. It's going to get worse. Good. He left. Helen looked at me. You're sure about this? Yeah. Once it's out there, you can't take it back. I don't want to take it back. She nodded. Then let's finish it. The statement went out on a Monday. Russo sent it to 12 outlets. Local news, legal publications, a blogger who covered financial crimes. The subject line was simple. Questions about estate planning practices in metro area. The body was 2 paragraphs, factual. No names except Paul Hendricks and Richard Dalton. It described a pattern of trusts filed during medical crises. It asked if anyone else had experienced similar situations. It included a contact email. By Tuesday afternoon, we had 4 responses. By Wednesday, we had 11. Russo forwarded them to me. I read every one. They were all the same story. Parent gets sick. Child takes control. Parent recovers. Money is gone. One woman wrote about her father, stroke victim. Her brother had moved him into a facility and sold the house. She hadn't spoken to her brother in 3 years. Another man wrote about his mother. Dementia diagnosis. His sister had cleaned out the accounts before the mother even moved into care. All of them mentioned Paul Hendricks. 3 mentioned Richard Dalton. None of them mentioned Trevor. Yet. I called Russo. We need to add Trevor's name. Not yet. Why? Because right now, this is about Paul and Richard. If we add Trevor too soon, it looks personal. We lose credibility. It is personal. I know, but we can't lead with that. Russo paused. Let the story build. Let other people connect the dots. When Trevor's name comes up naturally, that's when we push. I didn't like it, but he was right. I hung up. Helen came by that night, brought dinner, Thai food. We ate in silence for a while. How long before Trevor sees this? She asked. He's already seen it. How do you know? Because someone sent me this. I showed her my phone. It was an email, anonymous sender, subject line, You're making a mistake. The body was 1 sentence. Stop now, or it gets worse. Helen read it, handed the phone back. That's from him? Or someone close to him? Same thing. She set down her fork. What are you going to do? Nothing. Nothing. If I respond, he knows I'm scared. If I ignore it, he has to guess. And if he escalates? Then we have evidence of harassment, she nodded. You're getting good at this. I'm learning from people who are better at it than I am. We finished eating. Helen left around 9. I stayed up, read through the responses again. One of them stood out. It was from a man named Victor Lang. His email was short. I know what they did to you. I know because they did it to me. Call me. He left a number. I stared at it for a long time. Then I called. He picked up on the second ring. This is Victor. This is the person who sent out the statement about estate planning. I know who you are, he said. Your son is Trevor Brennan. I didn't say anything. I'm right, aren't I? Yeah. Good. We need to talk. In person. Why? Because what happened to you happened to me, and I've been waiting for someone else to figure it out. We met at a diner on the edge of town. Late, after the dinner rush. Victor was older than me, mid-60s, thin, gray hair. He looked like he hadn't slept well in years. We sat in a booth in the back. My daughter did it, he said. 4 years ago. I had a heart attack. She moved fast. Took power of attorney. Set up a trust. By the time I got out of the hospital, I had nothing. Paul Hendricks? Yeah, and Richard Dalton. He pulled out a folder, set it on the table. I tried to fight it. Hired a lawyer. Lost in court. They had everything documented. Everything legal. I opened the folder. Skimmed the documents. It was the same structure, same language, same setup. You gave up, I said. I didn't give up. I got smart. He leaned forward. I spent 2 years tracking them. Paul, Richard, everyone they worked with. I found 17 families. All the same story. 17? That I could confirm. There are probably more. He pulled out another paper. A list of names. I scanned it. Trevor's name was there. You knew about him, I said. I've known about him for 6 months. I saw his name on a filing, recognized the pattern. Victor tapped the list. Your son is part of a network. They don't advertise it. They don't meet in public, but they share information, methods, targets. Targets? Families with aging parents, high net worth, complicated relationships. He looked at me. They identify people who won't fight back, people who'll disappear quietly. How do you know this? Because I've been watching them. He pulled out his phone, showed me a photo. It was Trevor, standing outside a restaurant with Richard Dalton and 2 other men I didn't recognize. When was this taken? 3 weeks ago. I stared at the photo. You've been following him. I've been documenting him, Victor said. I've got photos, emails, meeting notes, everything. Why haven't you gone public? Because I'm one person, one angry father with a story. Nobody listens. He leaned back. But you're different. You've got momentum. You've got Russo. You've got a wife who's willing to fight. If we work together, we can make noise they can't ignore. I looked at the folder, the list, the photos. What do you want? I want them exposed, Victor said. I want everyone to know what they're doing. I want their clients to run. I want their reputations destroyed. That's not going to get you your money back. I don't care about the money anymore, he said. I care about making sure they can't do this to anyone else. I nodded slowly. All right, let's work together. He smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. Good, he said, because I've been waiting a long time for someone like you. Helen met Victor the next day, looked through his files. This is good work, she said. It's 4 years of my life, Victor said. It's enough to build a case. Not a legal case, Russo said. He was sitting at the table with us. But a public one. If we can show Trevor's part of a coordinated effort, we can make him toxic. To who? I asked. To Whitman and Dale, to his clients, to anyone who values reputation over profit. How do we do that? Russo tapped the folder. We release this, all of it. Names, photos, patterns. We give it to every outlet that'll listen. We make it impossible to ignore. That'll make Trevor a target, Helen said. That's the point, I said. Victor nodded. When do we start? Now, Russo said. I'll draft the release. We'll send it out tomorrow. What about blowback? Helen asked. There will be blowback, Russo said. Trevor's going to fight. So will Paul and Richard. They'll call it defamation. They'll threaten lawsuits. But if we stick to facts, they can't win. And if they try to silence us, then we get louder. I looked at Victor. You ready for this? I've been ready for 4 years. Good. We spent the rest of the night organizing the files, photos, documents, timelines. By midnight, we had everything. Russo sent the release at 6 the next morning. By noon, 3 news outlets had picked it up. By evening, it was everywhere. The first call came at 9 in the morning. It was a reporter from the local news. She wanted to interview me. I said no. The second call came an hour later. A lawyer representing Whitman and Dale. He said they were reviewing the allegations and would respond appropriately. I hung up. The third call was from Trevor. I let it go to voicemail. He didn't leave a message. Helen came over that afternoon. She'd been watching the news. They're covering it, she said. All of them. Paul and Richard are both denying everything. What about Trevor? He hasn't said anything yet, but Whitman and Dale released a statement. They said they're conducting an internal review. That's a start. It's more than a start, she said. It means they're worried. Russo called an hour later. We got a response from Richard Dalton's lawyer. He's threatening to sue for defamation. Let him. You sure? If he sues, this gets expensive. I'm sure. Russo paused. All right. I'll draft a response. But you need to be ready. This is about to get ugly. It's already ugly. It's about to get worse. He was right. By the next morning, Trevor's name was in the news. The article was careful. It didn't accuse him of anything. It just asked questions. Trevor Brennan, a senior associate at Whitman & Dale, has been connected to estate planner Paul Hendricks and wealth advisor Richard Dalton. Sources say Brennan's father recently lost access to family assets during a medical crisis. The firm has not commented on Brennan's involvement. It was enough. By noon, Whitman & Dale had suspended Trevor pending the review. Helen called me with the news. "How do you know?" I asked. "Victor has a contact at the firm. They told him this morning." "Trevor's going to be furious." "Good," she said. "Let him be furious." I hung up, sat in the apartment, stared at the wall. I'd spent months planning this, months digging, months waiting. Now it was happening, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just the weight of what came next. Victor called that night. "We need to keep the pressure on." "How?" "More families. More stories. The news is paying attention now. We need to give them something to keep covering." "We've already given them Paul and Richard. We need to give them Trevor." I was quiet. "You're hesitating," Victor said. "He's my son." "He stopped being your son when he took everything from you." I didn't respond. Victor sighed. "Look, I get it. This is hard. But if you stop now, they win. Trevor goes back to his job. Paul and Richard keep doing what they're doing. And the next family gets destroyed." "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to go on camera," he said. "Tell your story. Let people see what Trevor did to you." "I'm not doing that." "Why not?" "Because this isn't about me. It's about the pattern." "The pattern doesn't have a face," Victor said. "You do. If you want people to care, you have to make it personal." "No." "Then we're done," he said. "Because without a face, this story dies in a week, and Trevor walks away clean." He hung up. I sat there, stared at the phone. Helen came by an hour later. She didn't knock, just walked in. "Victor called me," she said. "Yeah, he's right. I'm not going on camera." "Why not?" "Because once I do that, there's no going back. Trevor will know it's me, he'll come after me." "He's already coming after you," she said. "He's just doing it quietly." "If I go public, it won't be quiet anymore." "Good," she sat down. "You wanted to make him hurt. This is how you do it. You take away the one thing he values most." "What's that?" "His reputation." I looked at her. "You really think this will work?" "I think it's the only thing that will work." I didn't sleep that night. I thought about Trevor, about what he'd done, about the trust, the documents, the $73. I thought about Renee, about Vanessa, about all the families Victor had found. I thought about the reporter who wanted to interview me. And I thought about what Victor had said. If you want people to care, you have to make it personal. I called the reporter the next morning. She picked up on the first ring. "This is Amy Tran." "This is the person you wanted to interview." She was quiet for a moment. "You're Trevor Brennan's father." "Yeah." "You want to talk?" "Yeah." "When?" "Today." We met at a coffee shop. She brought a camera. I brought Helen. Amy was younger than I expected. Late 20s, sharp eyes. She set up the camera without asking permission. "Tell me what happened," she said. I told her. I told her about the coma, the recovery, the empty room. I told her about the trust, the documents, the $73. I told her about Paul Hendricks, Richard Dalton, the network. I told her about Trevor. She recorded all of it. When I finished, she asked one question. "What do you want people to know?" I looked at the camera. "I want them to know this isn't rare," I said. "This is happening to families everywhere, and the people doing it think they're untouchable." "Are they?" "Not anymore." She turned off the camera. "This is going to air tomorrow," she said. "Are you ready for what happens after that?" "No," I said, "but I'm doing it anyway." She packed up, left. Helen and I sat there. "You did good," she said. "We'll see." The interview aired the next night. I didn't watch it. Helen did. She called me after. "It's everywhere," she said. Every outlet picked it up. Trevor's name is everywhere. "What's he saying?" "Nothing. He's not responding." "What about Whitman and Dale?" "They terminated him this afternoon." I sat down. "He's gone?" "Yeah." I hung up, stared at the wall. Trevor was gone. His career, his reputation, gone. And I felt nothing. The calls started the next day. Families who'd seen the interview, people who'd lost access to their money, parents who'd been abandoned. Russo fielded most of them, though he gave me summaries. 32 calls so far, he said. All of them similar stories. Most of them mentioned Paul or Richard. Any of them mentioned Trevor? 3. What did they say? They said he helped set up their trusts, gave advice, made it look clean. I leaned back. So he wasn't just copying. He was actively involved. Looks that way. Can we prove it? Maybe. If enough people come forward with the same story, it builds a case. Not a legal case. No, but a public one. I nodded. Keep taking the calls. Document everything. He hung up. I sat in the apartment. Thought about what came next. Trevor was out of Whitman and Dale. His reputation was damaged, but he still had the trust. He still had the money, and he still thought he could win. Helen came by that afternoon. She had news. Vanessa left him, she said. I looked at her. How do you know? She filed for divorce this morning. It's public record. That was fast. She saw the news, saw Trevor's name, decided she didn't want to be associated with it. Smart. Ruthless, Helen said. But yeah, smart. I thought about Vanessa. The polished smile, the cold eyes. She'd seen an opportunity and taken it, just like Trevor. What about Renee? I asked. No word, but I'm guessing she's keeping her distance. I nodded. Helen sat down. You know what this means, right? What? Trevor's alone. No job, no wife, no support. He's going to get desperate. Good. Desperate people do stupid things. I'm counting on it. She looked at me. You're waiting for him to make a move. Yeah. And when he does, we finish it. Victor called that night. We need to meet. Why? Because I found something? We met at the diner. He had a laptop with him. I've been going through Paul's old emails, he said. Someone leaked them to me this morning. Who? Someone at his firm, probably trying to distance themselves from him. He opened the laptop, showed me the screen. It was an email chain. Paul and Trevor. Dated 6 months before my coma. The subject line was, Family Restructuring Consultation. I read it. Trevor had asked Paul for advice on how to handle a complicated family situation. Paul had responded with a template, the same structure Trevor had used on me. He planned this, I said. He planned it months in advance, Victor said. This wasn't opportunistic. This was premeditated. I read the rest of the email chain. Trevor asked questions. Paul answered them. They discussed timing, documentation, how to make it look clean. At the bottom of the chain, Paul wrote, Remember, the key is to move before anyone realizes what's happening. Once the documents are filed, it's very hard to reverse. I closed the laptop. Can we use this? Absolutely, Victor said. This proves intent. It proves Trevor knew exactly what he was doing. Send it to Russo. Already did. I sat back. He's done. He's done legally, but we still need to make sure everyone knows. How? We release the emails. Let the media run with it. I thought about it. Do it. Victor nodded. This is going to destroy him. Good. He left. I sat in the diner, stared at my coffee. Trevor had planned this. He'd spent months figuring out how to take everything from me, and now I was going to take everything from him. The emails went public the next morning. By noon, they were everywhere. Trevor's name was in every headline. Attorney planned father's financial ruin months in advance. Emails reveal premeditated estate takeover. Son used legal loopholes to steal family assets. Russo called me. This is it. This is the end game. What happens now? Now we wait. Trevor's going to respond. He has to. This is too big to ignore. How will he respond? I don't know, but it won't be quiet. He was right. Trevor's statement came out that afternoon. It was posted on his personal website. A single page, no logo, no branding. I acted in accordance with legal authority granted to me by my father. Every decision I made was documented and approved by licensed professionals. The allegations against me are false and defamatory. I will be taking legal action against those responsible for spreading these lies. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just defiance. Helen called me. You see it? Yeah. He's not backing down. I didn't expect him to. What now? Now we push harder. How? We make him come to us? She paused. You're going to confront him. Yeah. When? Soon. I hung up, sat in the apartment. Thought about Trevor, about the emails, about the trust. He thought he could outlast this. He thought the noise would die down. He thought people would forget. He was wrong. I picked up my phone, called Russo. I need Trevor's address. Why? Because it's time to finish this. Russo was quiet. You're not going to do anything stupid, are you? Define stupid. You know what I mean. I'm not going to hurt him, I said. I'm just going to talk to him. Talking doesn't require his address. It does, if he's not answering his phone. Russo sighed. I'll send it to you. But if this goes wrong, I'm not bailing you out. Fair enough. He hung up. 10 minutes later, I had the address. I stared at it. 428 Ridgewood Avenue, a condo downtown. I put on my jacket, walked out the door, and went to see my son. The condo building was new, glass and steel, security at the front desk. I walked past them like I belonged there, took the elevator to the 8th floor. Unit 804. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. The door opened. Trevor stood there. He looked thinner than I remembered, tired. His shirt was wrinkled. His eyes were red. He stared at me. Dad. Trevor. We stood there. Neither of us moved. What are you doing here? He asked. I came to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I think there is. He started to close the door. I put my hand on it. Don't, I said. He looked at my hand, then at me. You need to leave. No. I'll call security. Go ahead. He didn't move. I pushed the door open, walked inside. The condo was a mess. Papers everywhere. Empty bottles on the counter. The blinds were closed. Trevor followed me in. You can't just walk in here. I already did. He stood by the door, arms crossed. What do you want? I want you to look at me, I said. I want you to see what you did. I did what I had to do. You stole from me. I managed your assets. You erased me. He looked away. You were incapacitated. Someone had to make decisions. Someone had to steal everything I had. It wasn't stealing. It was legal. Legal doesn't make it right. He laughed. It was a bitter sound. Right? You want to talk about right? You left me nothing. You spent 30 years building a life, and you never thought about what would happen to me, to Renee. You just expected us to take care of you forever. I never asked you to take care of me. You didn't have to ask, he said. It was expected. And I did it. For years. I managed your bills. I handled your affairs. I made sure you had what you needed. And you never even noticed. So you decided to take it all? I decided to stop waiting for you to die. The words landed like a slap. I stared at him. He stared back. I wanted you out of the way. Same thing. No, it's not. He walked to the window, looked out. You don't get it. You never did. You think this is about money? It's not. It's about control. You controlled everything. Where we lived, how we spent money, what we did with our lives, and I was tired of it. So you took everything. I took what should have been mine anyway. I walked toward him, slowly. He turned. You need to leave, he said. Not yet. Dad? I grabbed him by the shirt, pushed him against the wall. He didn't fight back, just stared at me. You think you won, I said. You think because you followed the rules, you're safe. You're not. What are you going to do? Hit me? No. Then what? I let go, stepped back. I'm going to make sure everyone knows who you are, I said. I'm going to make sure every person you work with, every client you had, every friend you thought you had, knows what you did. And when they look at you, they'll see a thief, not a lawyer, not a son, a thief. He straightened his shirt. You can't prove I did anything wrong. I don't have to prove it, I said. I just have to make people believe it. That's slander. It's the truth. He looked at me, really looked. You're not going to stop, he said. No. Even if I give you the money back, it's not about the money anymore. Then what is it about? I walked to the door, stopped, turned back. It's about making sure you never do this to anyone else. I left. Helen was waiting in the car. She saw me come out of the building. How'd it go? He's scared. Good. I got in. She started driving. What now? She asked. Now we wait. He's going to do something stupid. Like what? I don't know, but he will. She drove. We didn't talk. My phone buzzed. A text from Victor. Paul just resigned from his firm. Richard's under investigation by the state bar. I showed it to Helen. They're falling apart, she said. Yeah. And Trevor? He's next. She nodded. We drove back to the apartment. I went inside, sat on the couch, thought about Trevor, about what he'd said. He wanted me out of the way. I wondered if that was worse. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. This is Detective Morris. I need to speak with you about an incident at 428 Ridgewood Avenue. I sat up. What kind of incident? Trevor Brennan filed a report. He says you assaulted him. I didn't assault him? He says you pushed him against a wall. I grabbed his shirt. That's not assault. He wants to press charges. I hung up, called Russo. Trevor's trying to have me arrested. For what? Assault. Did you assault him? No. Did you touch him? I grabbed his shirt, pushed him back. That's it. Russo was quiet. That's battery, technically. What do I do? You wait. If they arrest you, I'll get you out. But don't do anything stupid in the meantime. Like what? Like going back to his condo. I hung up, sat there, stared at the wall. Trevor was fighting back. Good. It meant he was desperate, and desperate people make mistakes. The arrest came 2 days later. 2 officers showed up at the apartment. Polite, professional. You need to come with us, one of them said. For what? Battery charge. Trevor Brennan filed a complaint. I didn't argue, just went with them. They took me to the station, processed me. Russo showed up an hour later. This is garbage, he said. Trevor's trying to make you look unstable. Is it working? Not if we handle it right. He sat down. You'll go before a judge tomorrow. Plead not guilty. I'll argue it was a minor altercation. You'll probably get released on your own recognizance. And then? Then we go after him harder. I nodded. They kept me overnight, gave me a cell with a bench and a toilet. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I went before the judge. Russo argued. The prosecutor barely showed up. The judge released me. No bail, just a promise to appear for trial. I walked out. Helen was waiting. You okay? She asked. Yeah. What now? Now we finish it. We went back to the apartment. Victor was there. I heard about the arrest. He said, Trevor's desperate. Good. He's also making mistakes. Victor opened his laptop. He tried to move money this morning, out of the trust, into an offshore account. I sat down. Can we trace it? Already did. It's in the Caymans, totally legal, but it looks bad. How bad? Bad enough that the media will care. Russo walked in. I just got a call. The state bar is investigating Trevor now. Someone sent them the emails. Who? Anonymous tip. I looked at Victor. He smiled. You sent them, I said. I might have. Russo sat down. This is good. If the bar finds misconduct, Trevor loses his license, even if he's not practicing right now. What are the chances? High. The emails are damning. I leaned back. He's falling apart. He's panicking, Victor said, and panic leads to mistakes. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at the old house. Tonight, 8 p.m. Come alone. It was from Trevor. I showed it to Helen. It's a trap, she said. Probably. You're not going. I am. That's stupid. It's the end game. Russo looked at the text. If you go, you need backup. Someone watching. I'll go, Victor said. No, I said. This is between me and him. Helen stood up. Then I'm coming. Helen, I'm coming. You don't get to argue. I looked at her. She wasn't backing down. Fine, but you stay in the car. We'll see. But the old house looked different, empty. The grass was overgrown. The windows were dark. I parked down the street. Helen stayed in the car. I walked up to the front door. It was unlocked. I went inside. The house was empty. No furniture, no pictures, just walls and floors. I walked through the rooms. Kitchen, living room, den, found Trevor in the back, standing by the window. He turned when he heard me. You came, he said. You asked me to. He looked tired, broken. I'm done, he said. Done with what? Fighting, pretending, all of it. I walked closer. What do you want, Trevor? I want you to stop. Stop what? Destroying me. I laughed. I'm not destroying you. You did that yourself? You went to the media. You leaked the emails. You turned everyone against me. You stole from me. I managed your assets. You erased me. He turned away, stared out the window. I thought you'd understand, he said. I thought you'd see that I was just trying to survive. Survive what? Your expectations, your control, your constant need to be in charge. So you took everything. I took what I needed to be free. I walked to the window, stood next to him. We looked out at the yard, the overgrown grass, the broken fence. You were never trapped, Trevor, I said. You just convinced yourself you were. He didn't respond. I turned to face him. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to dissolve the trust. You're going to return every dollar you took, and you're going to sign a statement admitting what you did. And if I don't? Then the state bar takes your license. The media keeps digging, and you spend the rest of your life explaining why you stole from your father. He looked at me. You really hate me. No, I just don't recognize you anymore. He sat down on the floor, put his head in his hands. I can't give it back, he said. Why not? Because it's gone. I spent it, invested it, moved it. It's scattered across a dozen accounts. I stared at him. You spent it all. Most of it. On what? Legal fees, moving expenses, Vanessa's settlement. He looked up. I'm broke, Dad. I've got nothing left. I didn't know what to say. He stood up, walked to the door. You win, he said. You destroyed me, just like you wanted. I didn't want this. Yes, you did. You wanted me to suffer, and I am. Are you happy now? He left. I stood there, alone, in the empty house, listening to his footsteps fade. Helen came in a few minutes later. You okay? She asked. Yeah. What happened? He's broke. The money's gone. She sat down on the floor next to me. So we got nothing. We got him to admit what he did. That's not enough. It's all we have. We sat there, in the empty house. Helen leaned against me. I'm sorry. For what? That it ended like this. I didn't respond. We stayed there for a while. Then we left, got in the car, drove away. I didn't look back. Russo called the next morning. Trevor agreed to dissolve the trust, he said. How? He doesn't have a choice. The bar's investigation found enough to suspend his license. He's trying to cooperate to reduce the penalty. What about the money? What's left of it goes back to you. It's not much. Maybe $20,000. That's it? That's it. I hung up. $20,000. Out of everything I had. I sat in the apartment, stared at the wall. Helen came by that afternoon. Victor called, she said. He wants to meet. Why? He didn't say. We met at the diner. Victor had a folder with him. I've been going through Trevor's accounts, he said. Found something interesting. What? He opened the folder, showed me a bank statement. Trevor moved $200,000 into an account 3 weeks ago. It's under Vanessa's name. I looked at the statement. He hid it. He tried to, but Vanessa filed for divorce. That account is part of the settlement. If we move fast, we can freeze it. How? We file a claim, say it's stolen property, force Vanessa to produce records. I looked at Helen. She nodded. Do it, I said. Victor smiled. Already started. The claim went through 2 days later. Vanessa's lawyer called Russo. Furious. Your client is accusing my client of possessing stolen funds, he said. Your client received funds from a trust that was fraudulently created. Russo said, We're not accusing her of anything. We're just asking questions. She had nothing to do with the trust. Then she won't mind producing records. The lawyer hung up. Russo called me. We've got her rattled. What happens now? Now we wait. If she fights, it looks bad. If she cooperates, we get access to the account. And if she just gives the money back? Then we win. She gave the money back. 2 days later. No fight, no argument. Just a wire transfer. $200,000. Back into an account under my name. I stared at the statement. 200,000, not everything, but enough. I called Helen. We got it, I said. How much? 200,000. She was quiet. That's more than I expected. Yeah. What are you going to do with it? I thought about it. I'm going to rebuild. Rebuild what? Everything he took. The news broke a week later. Trevor Brennan, disbarred, Paul Hendricks, under investigation. Richard Dalton, resigned. The story ran on every outlet, national coverage. Families came forward, dozens of them, all with the same story. The state launched a task force, started investigating estate planning firms. Victor called it a victory. Russo called it justice. Helen called it the beginning. I didn't know what to call it. I just knew it was over. I saw Trevor one more time. It was 3 months later, at a grocery store. He was in the checkout line, alone. I almost didn't recognize him. He'd lost weight. His hair was grayer. He saw me, looked away. I walked past him, didn't say anything, didn't need to. He knew, I knew. It was done. Helen and I moved into a new apartment. Bigger, better. We didn't talk about Trevor, or Renee, or any of it. We just lived. I started working again, consulting, small jobs, enough to pay the bills. Helen went back to school, something she'd always wanted to do. Victor stayed in touch, kept fighting, kept digging. Russo moved on to other cases. The house sold. Someone else's family lived there now. I didn't care. I had what I needed. Helen. A roof. A purpose. Everything else was just noise. 1 year later, I got a letter. No return address. Inside was a single piece of paper. A check for $50,000. No note. No explanation. Just the check, signed by Trevor Brennan. I stared at it. Then I tore it up. Threw it away. I didn't need his money. I didn't need his apology. I didn't need anything from him. I had already won.